Hi, the SI meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Friday, October 5th. Well, the coldest air mass of the season so far continues to plunge to the south and east. It'll reach the east coast by Sunday. This morning temperatures are much lower in the upper part of the Midwest compared to yesterday morning, and there was some significant early season snow. In fact, in some areas, record snow for this early in the season in the northeastern part of North Dakota and the northwestern part of Minnesota, where up to a foot of snow fell. And also, overnight, some snow fell in Wyoming and Colorado. In fact, this morning, parts of Denver, Colorado metro region are waking up to the first accumulating snows of the season. Meanwhile, here along the East Coast, it'll be a nice warm day, probably the warmest day in quite a while, as temperatures this afternoon could hit 80 degrees in many locations. Let's take a look at the current surface map. Here's the leading edge of that cold air mass now. The cold front is moving into the Ohio Valley. Meanwhile, along the East Coast, still a large high pressure area. A weak cool front came through the region last night in the Mid-Atlantic region. It cleared things out and dropped the humidity values somewhat. The temperatures actually are a little bit lower this morning compared to yesterday morning because of those clear skies and drier conditions. And in fact, we'll take a look at that in a moment. But today will be a rather warm day with, again, high temperatures reaching or even surpassing 80 degrees in many mid-Atlantic locations. A beautiful day here, but big changes are on the way. Yesterday, again, I mentioned quite a bit of early season snowfall here in parts of the North Dakota region and upper part of Minnesota, and overnight some snow fell in Wyoming and down into the Denver, Colorado region, where temperatures are about 30 degrees this morning in Denver, Colorado, much cooler than it's been. Meanwhile, a pleasant day is lining up here along the West Coast. A significant cooling trend there, especially compared to earlier in this week where there was some extreme heat. By Sunday and Monday, high temperatures will only be in the mid to upper 60s along coastal regions. Well, here's a map we often look at here at the SIweather.com. This is the 24-hour temperature change map from the Penn State eWall site. A couple areas of interest here. First of all, here along the East Coast, there's quite a bit of cool down from this morning compared to 24 hours ago. And again, that's mainly due to that weak cool front that came through overnight, cleared things out and dried things up, and that allowed for some temperatures to drop to lower values this morning compared to yesterday morning. But in a way, this is kind of false cooling because this afternoon will be comfortably warm, well above normal, and in fact, quite a very nice day here in the Mid-Atlantic region. This colder temperature pattern out here, though, however, in the Midwest is the real cooling. This is the real cooling associated with that cold air mass that's plunging to the south and east. It'll stay cold out here all day today and for the next few days. Temperatures this morning in the 30s across Michigan and Wisconsin, considerably colder than the last couple of days. And then again, there was significant snowfall in parts of upper North Dakota and Minnesota overnight. All of this is continuing to move to the east, and Sunday promises to be when the cold air arrives along the East Coast. Here's the latest infrared satellite loop. A large spiraling system here in south central Canada. Here's a strong low pressure area with that strong cold front extending, wrapping around that spiraling cloud band here all the way into the Ohio Valley now. This is the leading edge of that cold air outbreak now over the Ohio Valley. Meanwhile, plenty of clear skies here along the East Coast, and it will be a beautiful day with comfortably warm conditions and low to moderate humidity values as well. In fact, this could very well be the warmest day, maybe the last 80-degree day in quite a while along portions of the East Coast. Snow fell overnight in Wyoming and down in Colorado. Again, portions of the Denver metro region woke up to their first accumulating snows of the season. Much cooler along the West Coast than compared to earlier in the week, and they'll get even cooler over the upcoming weekend. Well, we have quite an interesting weather pattern setting up for the latter part of the weekend here in the eastern states. I thought we'd take a look at the NAM, North American Mesoscale Model. I think it has a better handle on what should be a developing low pressure along that cold front as it presses towards the East Coast Saturday night and Sunday. I think the NAM is handling the situation a little better than the GFS. And it's quite an interesting setup here. First of all, this is Saturday night. By this time, the cold front, at least the surface cold front, actually moves through maybe some showers associated with that frontal passage late Saturday afternoon into early part of Saturday night. But it's the precipitation kind of tends to weaken with the initial blast of this colder air, at least by the time it reaches the mid-Atlantic region. So by Saturday night, temperatures will be starting to cool off here in the mid-Atlantic region after that passage of the surface cold front. Now let's jump ahead to Sunday morning. Here's the Sunday morning forecast map, and again, this blue line here is somewhat indicative of a rain-snow line here. It's certainly indicating much colder air than we've been accustomed to. NAM models now putting out a little bit of precipitation here early Sunday morning across the western part of Virginia down into the northwestern part of North Carolina, and this is associated with that developing wave of low pressure along that whole frontal boundary zone that heads towards the East Coast during the latter part of the weekend.